gotta keep the devil down in the hole.
Hey everybody, it's Dead Winter Dead with another Battlefield 4 video for you. Today is going to be kind of a dual commentary. We're going to be focusing on two subjects. One is the carbine, the SG553. The other is basically how to be a good engineer. Now the SG553 has typically been associated with the engineer class. I typically tend to associate it with the engineer class, and usually when I run engineer, this is one of the go-to weapons that I have, especially in Battlefield 3. But in Battlefield 4, the engineer class seems to have gotten kind of a buff. It is literally now a jack of all trades. It has access to most of the weapons, those being the carbines, the PDWs, as well as the shotguns. Now, you might be asking yourself, but Dead, it doesn't have access to the assault rifles or the LMGs. Well, hold your seat, because most of the carbines can stand toe-to-toe with the assault rifles. And if you're looking for something heavy-hitting, the shotguns do just about as much damage or more as the LMGs. Now, while their rate of fire may be considerably slower, if you're in close quarter situations, nothing's better than a good old shotty to the face. Now, the engineer class can also run a variety of specialties. You can run, say, an IGLA for anti-aircraft, and then landmines to plant landmines in heavily traveled vehicle areas. Or you could run the basic RPG repair torch, which allows you to take out land vehicles, as well as air vehicles if you're a pretty crafty shot, and repair friendly vehicles. You pretty much have a lot of flexibility with this class, and it's one of the reasons why this class is actually starting to be a class that a lot of players pick. The weapons are just about as dominant as the assault class, and it has the ability to take out vehicles, which is one of the things that the assault class lacks. Now, the assault class is typically the most used class in Battlefield, most Battlefield games, but it lacks that ability to take down vehicles, and the engineer class seems to kind of bridge that gap. You're able to take down vehicles but still have enough face-to-face firepower to be a frontline force to be reckoned with. Now let's take a look at the stats on the SG553. It is, of course, a carbine. Its max damage is 25. Its minimum damage is an odd 15.4. Drop-off starts at 8 meters. The drop-off ends at 50 meters. And its rate of fire is a blistering, record-setting 830 RPM. This is almost equivalent to weapons like the assault class's FAMAS, which has, I believe, about 1000 RPM. It's still a really high rate of fire weapon, which means you can get a lot of rounds down range, and you have a better chance of taking down the bad guys before they can get a beat on you. Magazine size is 31. The reload time empty is 2.65 seconds, and if you have a round left in the chamber, 2.1 seconds. So there's not a lot of difference in the reload time. Obviously, a round left in the chamber is always quicker, but you're around between 2 and 3 seconds pretty much in any situation. Now on to some tips and advice on basically how to be a better engineer player. The whole job of the engineer class is to both take down enemy vehicles, whether they be air vehicles, land vehicles, or in this case sea vehicles, as we have the big attack boats as well as the typical jet ski and the smaller Zodiac type boats. But your job is also to repair friendly vehicles. I think a lot of players neglect that side of the engineer class. Now granted, yes, it is dangerous work. You have to stand in the middle of vehicular combat and put that little torch at the edge of your friendly vehicle and try to watch that little ticker go up so he has more armor, so that way he can engage the bad guys and the bad guys can be dead first. And if a stray tank shell or if a stray piece of mortar round comes your way, you're pretty much going to be the dead guy, because the guy piloting the tank is covered in armor where you just have some hands and some skin on them. But remember that repairing those vehicles is a noble goal. A lot of these vehicle heavy maps, you need to be able to keep your armor and your vehicles in the fight. On a side note, you just saw the SG553. That was a pretty fairly medium to long range shot with just the reflex sight. Now here's another important aspect of the engineer class. You can see I'm firing RPGs at this tank from an elevated position, but if you look off to the left on my minimap, I have a friendly tank coming in. I was able to get the kill on that vehicle, but that was because I was working in conjunction with friendly armor to take down the bad guys. You need to be able to time your shots so that you're not taking on armor by yourself and he's hosing you down with that main gun or that coaxial, or he has a driver in the second seat hitting you with that 50 cal. Coordinate your shots with friendly armor so that you guys can take enemy armor down faster. There's a couple more clips of the 553's high rate of fire, able to take down that support guy as well as this Joker on the quad. And there goes the physics ragdoll. Well guys, this is Dead Winter Dead. I'm going to bring you a little more in-depth tactical review of the engineer class, basically how to play cat and mouse with tanks. But remember that your RPGs are explosive and they will kill you. Thanks for watching, and down I go from my own RPG shot.